coming in cold for the Six Nations. We had 2 weeks before the Scotland game. I knew all the Leicester lads. Everybody else I'd never met. He's extremely challenging.
Yeah.
As you'd expect.
Yeah.
He was head coach of England,
Yeah.
right? So that's part of who he is and what he does. I never quite thought I'd get the opportunity to represent my country again.
Hi, I'm James Haskell, former professional rugby player, now turned DJ. I'm here at the Honda England Rugby Performance Centre with British Airways, the official airline partner of the England rugby team. I'm here to interview the legend that is Kevin Sinfield. What an incredible individual. We're going to find out what makes him tick, why he does such incredible things, and what kind of defence coach he is. Come with me now. Well, thank you for having us in.
No, thank you for...
I'm not sure you had probably much choice in it. They probably just told you, right, you will do this, but we appreciate it. I'm excited to have a chat with you. Looking well, mate. You're looking very youthful.
Thank you.
I know. I don't know.
I don't feel it.
Do you not?
No.
Mate, you look great. Because we've actually never met.
No, yeah.
We've sort of been like passing ships tonight. I would have loved to have got the opportunity to work with you because the boys obviously rave about what you do. But you well?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I am, I'd say.
But no aches and pains. You feel fine?
Knees aren't great, but not from playing, from running now.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say that. I mean, obviously, I know what you do is amazing. We'll come on to that later, but I'm very envious of someone like you who had such an illustrious career for Leeds and for England and won as many things as you did and was physical as you were. Kind of rubbing it in all the rest of our faces by running marathons and doing it extraordinary and then doing feats of like things that most people couldn't dream of. And I'm glad to hear your knees are a bit sore. Do you know why? Because you deserve that a little bit. Because otherwise...
Well, thank you. Look, it's very kind what you said, but I have to say it's been worth having bad knees.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's been worth, because you do what you got to do, don't you? And playing-wise, I was very, very lucky. I only had a couple of bumps and bruises. Knees, ankles, hips, shoulders were all okay, so...
You've just listed all the things that are wrong with me, so...
Yeah, well, I understand. I've got a lot of former teammates and guys who played with, and you interact all the time with players past players who've either caught, and some of them have got some...
Because it's like between you and Richie McCaw, he's now doing Ironmen and stuff like that and doing kind of all these like feats of endurance. And he was like, obviously one of the most physical players that's ever been, one of the most, biggest proponents of the breakdown and everything. And I've had to have a long, hard look at myself. Between you doing this and him running them, I've gone, do I need to toughen up here? Like, do I need to sort myself out?
You're in good nick.
I'm trying to do what? I'm on the BLT plan, big, lean and tan. That's basically it. I've got no engine, can't run, can't do anything. But as long as you look good with your shirt off, that's half the battle. What I wanted to talk to you about today was because of obviously when I played, defence was such a heartbeat of any side. And kind of when I started at Wasps back in the day, obviously we had Sean Edwards, and he was the first kind of team that put such a stall behind defence, and that the idea that defence could win you championships. I'd always brought up watching on TV, it was all about scoring tries. It wasn't necessarily about defence. You've come into this England side, relatively new, obviously the first kind of sojourn into kind of international coaching. I just wanted to kind of find out a bit about what makes you tick in regards to defence and kind of what your principles are and how you found working with the team.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd say it was a huge challenge coming over. I decided at Christmas time it was time for something else for me, and that was, if you want to understand exactly why I'm here, because I still pinch myself a little bit and go, I've ended up where I've ended up, because I never wanted to coach. And then Rob got diagnosed, and then within sort of 13, 14, 15 months, we got through COVID and we did the first challenge, and it was on the back of that where I thought, I've got to change what I do because I won't get any fulfilment in the role that I had. Tried to understand what fulfilment looked like for me was very difficult, but it absolutely boiled down to trying to help people. And the best way of trying to use my skill set or my experience from playing was probably going to be in coaching. I didn't quite know where or how. Chance phone call, are you interested in working with Steve at Leicester? At the time I was like, let's give it a go, let's see where this is, where it sits, what Steve needs from me. And I suppose that was the start, and I went in very green. I'd coached some kids, which was my eldest son's rugby team, like as most dads do, help out, and I was carrying water and carrying a kicking tee, then suddenly became a bit more involved as I finished playing. And I got a load from it, and I was ready to take some risk given what had happened with Rob, and a great deal of perspective of getting the most out of life and taking some risk. And then very quickly found myself in a coaching room that I was very, very humbled to be in, because the support and help that group gave me down at Leicester was incredible. And they never laughed at me when I sort of trying to translate stuff across, and I suppose coming with some suggestions and being really basic, going, why don't we just do it like this?
Yeah.
And at times they'd have looked at me and thought, this guy's mad. But also at times they probably did question and go,
just because we've always done it like that.
Yeah, why aren't we doing it like that? So, but they were brilliant, and hit it off with the coaching group. So then when Steve got the England job and asked me to go with him, everybody wants to work for the country, don't they? And I never quite thought I'd get the opportunity to represent the country again. So I was like, if you think I can do it, I'll give it a go. And it's been a great experience so far. It's been tough. It's been a massive challenge. But I'm really looking forward to what's to come.
Were you fulfilled as a player? Just I'm interested, because something I had as a player, because I was always on a pursuit of trying to be better, I don't have any regrets, but I didn't always appreciate what I had because I was always trying to move on. And I think when you retire, trying to find fulfillment in ordinary life is quite hard. And then if you have a friend, a best friend that then has that, then it kind of puts everything into perspective for you in M&D, and you kind of then go, have I made the most of it? So I'm interested as to, so you were fulfilled as a player, that wasn't a problem?
Yeah, when you say fulfilled, I love playing. So to finish playing for me was difficult, although my body was intact. But it got to the stage where mentally I was ready for what came next.
Fine.
Sort of 35, moved across and had a very short stint playing Rugby Union, which is something I always wanted to do. But I was ready for the next step. Like, if you offered me the chance to play today, I would go and play.
Right.
Like, I'd miss playing so much. Physically, probably can't keep up anymore, and probably, those you needed to.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But also, I think as well.
Still think like.
Yeah, but I think as well, I remember, say, when I was in this environment, you'd be out for a week, and you'd watch intensity training, and go, oh my God, I don't think I can do this anymore. And some of the other guys would be on the sideline, and then obviously when you're in it, you appreciate you can do it. But I watch rugby now, and I think, God, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I know I would push myself. I still have that mentality, but I think you trick yourself. I think when you're in it, you become a product of that environment, and you become better. And if you're running back-to-back marathons, mate, just do less of that, and you'll probably still be running around.
No, well, it's different because nobody hitting you.
Are you a coach that I remember? With Sean at Wasps as a reference, because it seems that a lot of guys from rugby league, for some reason, come over and be defensive coaches in uni. Why is that, do you think?
Partly because of the amount of defence we would do typically within our week. So it's probably split 50-50 in a league week. You do a lot of defence. And then perhaps wasn't a similar split in Union. So when Phil Larder came across first, and then Sean and Faz came across, Mike Ford, Mike Forshaw, Brad Davis.
Yeah.
There's a number now who've gone across. I think the easiest transition is D, because it's the most similar.
Do you ever want to just get involved a little bit, like, right, lads, this is how to do it?
No. Although having said that, I jumped on the wing today because we were short.
How'd you go?
For one play.
One play. How'd you go?
They targeted me as well.
Did they?
Yeah, but thankfully it was handled well. On my inside, so I did a good job.
Oh, nice. But I just wondered.
No, I don't. Because
I remember, when Michael Checker kind of coached, and he'd always drop in at fly half on the opposition team, and if you dropped the ball, it was the scrum half's fault, and then if he could put a shot on, he would. I just wondered whether, because from what I've said, I haven't met you before, but you seem quite quiet and kind of very together. I wonder what it's like in a defence session, where are you in there trying to fill lads in? Are you a screamer? Are you a shouter? Or are you quite calm and controlled? I don't really know. I think people at home would love to know what it's like.
So I'm very calm. What you see is what you get. Steve might like me to raise my voice a bit more than what I do, but I always think we've got a good blend and a good mix. You know Steve pretty well, right? Yeah. So,
fellas.
He probably doesn't need a shouter alongside him.
No.
And Wiggy is...
oh, Christ, you can't shut Wiggy up.
So, I think it works quite well, the combination between the three of us. The big things for me, and certainly from coming across, but when I played, and hopefully this comes across in when I coach, we're a team sport, right? So you've got to help your mate.
Yeah.
And hopefully that comes across in some of the bits I do away from rugby, because I absolutely believe in it. And what I try and get the guys to do is look after each other on the field. And that means when we're outnumbered, we've got to get numbers there. That means you've got to run. And when we're man on man or we're overloaded, boys, you can rip in and go and get it. So
is that what if you were going to sort of review a session, you know, if someone misses a tackle but they've worked like hell to get off the floor, work for each other, is that the kind of things you're rewarding in this? Obviously you want people to make tackles, but are you rewarding people getting off the floor and working hard and being together? Because, you know, as I said, it's very interesting when you look at a defence to see what you pride yourself on, rather getting up in people's faces. And if someone bounces off somebody, but there's someone next to you, that's a win.
That's it.
Fine.
I think you've nailed it.
Okay.
So, you know, I certainly will look at missed tackles, because it's important. We look for trends and where we miss them, how we miss them. But it's not the be-all and end-all for me. I want us to get off the line, I want us to get forward, I want us to take as much space as we can from the opposition. And if that means we get bounced off one or two, well, I want next man in.
Yeah.
Next man's there to fix it. And you rely so heavily on your mates when you play, and instilling that, although we've got, you know, 11 clubs represented in this current squad, maybe a few more with the guys in France. Understanding how very quickly we've got to pull them together and ensure they cover each other.
How have you found coming across and working, obviously, from the Leicester squad with that level of success and coming in? What have you found? Like, what are the characters like in this squad? Have you found people that you know will die for each other? You know?
Yeah, I think coming in cold for the Six Nations, we had 2 weeks before the Scotland game. I knew all the Leicester lads. Everybody else I'd never met, so I'd coached against them and maybe shook one or two people's hands after games, but I didn't know them.
Yeah.
Feel I coached me best when start to build those friendships, understand what makes people tick, and I had different relationships with all of them. So my relationship with Owen Farrell is very different to my relationship with George or Marcus. My relationship with Joe Marley is very different to my relationship with Ellis. My relationship with Courtney is so that you go through the team and go, like, I'd like to think they all think I'm. This might sound a bit corny. They all think they're the friend.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I'm trying to help them.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
you treat them as individuals, not. You might have some clear, defining structures of what's acceptable with your defence. Which says get off the floor, that work rate, that hit. Yeah. But you know what individually makes them tick to then poke those drivers. Because I think for me, the best coaches I ever had didn't try to treat all of us in the same way.
So, understanding what our systems are, but also being able to motivate, energise, inspire, if you like, everybody to do it in their own way, bring their own energy and style to it, but also bring what they're good at. Because we have some unbelievable guys at hitting, we have some unbelievable jacklers, some unbelievable guys at blasting. How do we get the best of them within our system that allows them to come and be part of England, but do what they do week in and week out?
You touched on your kind of relationship with Steve. What's that like? Because, you know, obviously I played with Steve. Steve was my captain for England. I played against him a number of times. He's actually, I don't know if you ever played against Steve, but he was a bit of a trash talker on the field, which is so out of character. Like he'd come out of nowhere if you gave a penalty away, rubbing your face on the floor, trash talking you, and then you'd meet him off the field and you'd be like, what the hell? I'd see other people going, Borthwick, what are you doing, mate? But he was like that. He was such a competitor, and I got to know him quite well. And you know, we used to go to train and do some wrestling stuff together at a MMA gym, and then obviously he became a coach, and he obviously had Eddie, who, you know, I don't think any man could have put up with what Borthwick did in terms of his determination, just getting, you know, so you had a sort of real baptisms of fire, and I think there's no better person to learn from. Have you guys become mates, or is it very, very professional, you know, because you seem to be different characters? I mean, how does that dynamic work?
Yeah, we're very, very different, but I think that's probably why it works.
Yeah.
He's extremely challenging, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
He's head coach of England, right? So that's part of who he is and what he does. I'm very respectful of his role and how he goes about his business, but I admire him a lot.
Yeah.
Because he's a wonderful coach.
Yeah.
Like he's probably the best coach I've seen and worked with, and that's in all my time. So I feel very fortunate to be able to learn from him. And I think I've been in Rugby Union 2 years now.
Yeah.
So to be and coaching for 2 years, so to have someone with that experience and knowledge who was so, and is so giving with his time, by the way.
Yeah.
Like if there's something I'm not quite sure of, or I can go and sit with him and say, can you explain this to me? But strip it right back so that you're talking to an idiot.
Yeah.
Give it to me straight.
He had many
So
experiences talking to me, mate, so it's very, that's
so,
fine.
so in that regard, yeah, if you played with him and you spent a lot of time with him, you'll know that he's probably not the most social guy. He has a really close-knit group of friends who he confides with and speaks to, but he's been great with me.
I just wonder sometimes with coaching and team dynamics, because one of the reasons I would never be as good as you guys, but I never got into coaching, was because you can build the lads up all week, but then it's then for them to go out. And I always personally find it, as kind of someone who works not in the media, but outside, that the first criticism always comes to the coaches. Yeah. When ultimately the players are on the field, you can do whatever you can do. And if you look at it at the end of your week and go, I couldn't have done any more, it's down to them to play. And I just wonder sometimes whether there's that opportunity to kind of, whether you bond or what you do or what the coaches do, because it's a very stressful environment. Because as soon as the game finishes, you're then in analytical mode, where the lads then get to let their hair down, and it never stops. And I was thinking to myself, would I ever want to do that, where I don't get to play, I have to work double the hours, I'm away more often than not. So that's why I never did it. But I wondered, you adjust to that, you're fine with that, that's all good.
Yeah, I do think good players make good coaches. Like, the players are what make the game fun.
Yeah.
They're the players that bring it to life, your plans, and I think I want to give the players the experiences that I had, because I do feel genuinely fulfilled with my playing career, although there's loads I'd change, but memories and friendships have been incredible. So actually my time away from, I suppose, how I let my own, I was with family and friends, so getting away, was able to get back after the game at weekend. I was home for about 20 hours, but it was just to refresh.
It's enough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, it's just...
Change of environment, change of dynamics, different priorities and different stuff. I wanted to just talking about, friends and family, because I know we haven't got too much longer with you, but was obviously Rob Burrows, again, I watched him for many years. His journey is, and what he's doing and the money they're raising is incredible. Obviously, as a best mate, it's heartbreaking and I always try to put myself in other people's shoes and go, what was if I saw one of my best mates go through that? And obviously there's still the person that you love locked into a body that's now not allowing him to do what he wants to do. Just how much in your daily life is that carried with you? Because I see what you do and I see how much you care, and you've said about motor, but just how much is he in your forefront, your mind, the decisions you make?
Is there a lot? I message him every couple of days. Oh, he's so funny. It's just like, because he just says exactly what he wants to say now. When someone's got old and they just they let go. He's like that. Very much at the forefront. And we've been in camp for so long. It's been a while since I've been able to get to see him. The last time I went, we had a bit of a scare with him, so we'd gone out of camp and I was straight there because. But then within 2 days, it's remarkable. He's back home and he's loving life and he's back on holiday and doing great things with the kids. But yeah, I think it's the reason I'm here. It's the reason I've ended up here. So I'm very grateful. It gives me a great deal of perspective every time I see him and spend time with him. Very early on, when he got diagnosed, and I was fortunate enough to meet people from the M&D Association and people around the country with M&D and different families, and they very quickly tell you that people stop visiting because it's tough.
Makes them uncomfortable, doesn't it? Yeah.
Makes them uncomfortable and they don't know how to deal with it. And I thought, I won't be that bloke who stops going. No matter how difficult it can be at times, he needs us to go. He needs us to make him laugh. He needs us to take the mickey out of him and remember good times and talk about what we're doing and converse with him, albeit through a machine now.
Because that was the hardest part. I'd never met Doddie Weir, but we'd done lots of stuff. I just never met him. I just always never had the opportunity. By the time I met him, he wasn't able to speak that well, but I always think not being able to necessarily communicate is important. But when you know the man and the quality of the person and the love, like I don't need to have known Rob to know what a good guy is because what you do for him, and I know how highly you're respected. It's the same thing with Doddie. People going out their way to help someone. it shows the mark of the man and how important that is. So I think that that's testament to everything really.
Oh, thank you. I think you mentioned Doddie. Still got messages on my phone from Doddie. This happens, by the way.
It's fine, mate. I'll be honest with you. I've cried more in the last year, not related to that, than I have. I've got a little girl, and I spend my entire time bawling. And I sat at the table the other day, just obviously for different reasons, making known my limitations. I was like, I've got to stop crying. I started to look at myself and go, what's wrong with me?
Yeah,
so it's fine.
As you get older as well. But his influence on Rob was huge.
Yeah.
And on me. Our first meeting, which was, Rob got diagnosed, and 2 days after, let the world know. I've got MND. It was then a couple of days we'd gone up to Carlisle to meet Doddie, which was set up by Brian Redpath.
Oh yeah. He's a good man. Yeah.
Yeah, great
man.
guy. Coached me at Yorkshire Carnegie when I went across. So straight away went, I'll sort this for you. And it's like it was yesterday, because we've got 6'9" or 10 Doddie Weir next to 5'4" and a quarter. I have to add. Rob Burrows, and it's like it's a joke of a picture. But Doddie was incredible for Rob. I think he was incredible and has been incredible for Ed Slater. You think Stephen Darby, Marcus Stewart in football now, like there's a brotherhood there of guys who look after each other and stay strong. And it's been for our team, so it's probably about 20 strong now who've been part of the last 3 challenges we've done. Like, if you ask them the experience they've had throughout those, they'll tell you it's some of the best of their life, because of the people we've met and the people who come out to see us, the people who've, like, one guy not been out of his house for 2 years on a breathing apparatus came out to see us one day.
Really?
Like, and when you're meeting people like this, like, you take on all their emotion, and when you're running, it absolutely fuels you. So
in those dark moments, because I was going to ask you that, that obviously the back-to-back runs you did and that the kind of intensity, when you embark on something like that, there are probably moments when you're like, oh my God, what the hell have I done? But the amount of responsibility you have is you couldn't quit. And I just wondered what was the motivator. But as you said,
and I think as well, you're right. We're on BBC Breakfast every morning.
Yeah.
And you're going,
you can't do that.
I can't tap out here.
No, that's what I mean.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in, because if this falls over, I'm constantly thinking about getting injured.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, the whole thing stops.
Yeah.
And then I'm conscious people are going, well, I want my money back.
Yeah.
And you go, Matt, so this money is vital to try and find a cure and help these families and support them properly, because we don't support them well enough.
But I think in what you're doing for MND and for the guys is incredible. And I think the awareness you've raised is amazing. And I just want to finish with one question. Obviously, we've got a big job coming up in France. You've had a hell of an experience. You've got battles off the field with what you're doing. You've got battles on the field. You're heading to France. How excited are you about it?
I've got experience at the other chord. I've been on a Lions tour. I've been and experienced some of the great events that rugby has to offer, but to be able to be in it up close and personal, I'm really looking forward to it.
I got to the final trial 2017. In 2011, we were described as the worst touring side in English sporting history. In 2015, we didn't get out the pool stages, and I had to retire just on the way to 2019. So I'm the worst piece of advice, but I wish you guys the best of luck. I think you'll absolutely smash it, and I think what you're doing is you're an inspiration, mate, and I think the squad's in a great place. I think you guys are a fantastic coaching side, and I have every kind of confidence you're going to shock the world.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, mate. Nice to meet you.